You've seen a light bulb flicker on and off 1,000 times, but have you ever wondered what actually happens inside that tiny glass globe? It's not just electricity, it's a whole dance of physics and engineering. When you flip the switch, you're not just turning on a light, you're setting off a chain reaction that turns energy into light. But how? And why does it work the way it does? But not all light bulbs are created equal. Some use gas, some use metal filaments, and others rely on entirely different tricks to produce light. We're about to uncover the secrets behind them all. So what happens when that electricity meets the filament? It's not just a simple switch, it's a controlled explosion of energy that illuminates the dark. And we're just getting started. As we dive deeper, we'll explore the science behind the glow, the history of the light bulb, and even the future of lighting. It's more than just light, it's a story of human ingenuity. So what exactly are we talking about? Let's start by asking, what is a light bulb really? It's more than just a glowing thing in the ceiling, it's a clever device that turns electricity into light. At its core, a light bulb is an electrical component that converts electrical energy into visible light and heat. But how does that happen? Well, it all starts with something called a filament, a thin wire that gets really hot when electricity flows through it. When the filament gets hot enough, it starts emitting light. This is called thermal radiation. But the color of the light depends on how hot the filament is. The harder it gets, the more blue the light appears. So in short, a light bulb is an electrical device that uses heat to produce light. But the journey from electricity to light is just the beginning. There's more to the story. You might think light bulbs are just for lighting up your room, but they're actually tiny power plants in your home. Every time you flip a switch, you're starting a chain reaction that powers your entire house. The electricity you use to light a single bulb is the same electricity that runs your fridge, your phone charger, and even your heater. It's all connected and you're part of the system. When you choose a light bulb, you're not just choosing brightness, you're choosing how much energy your home uses. That choice affects your bills and the environment. Understanding how light bulbs work helps you make smarter choices, like using energy-efficient bulbs or smart lighting systems that save you money over time. You don't have to be an engineer to care about this. It's about how you live, how much you pay, and how much you can help the planet by being mindful of the power you use. Let me take you back to 1800, when a guy named Humphrey Davy first made a light with a battery and a piece of charcoal. It was dim, flickery, and only lasted a few minutes, but it proved that electricity could make light. Fast forward to 1879, when Thomas Edison took this idea and made it practical. He didn't just make one bulb, he tried thousands of materials until he found the right one, carbonized bamboo filament. So imagine a tiny spark in a little glass globe. That's a light bulb. When you flip the switch, electricity zips through the wire and hits a filament inside. The filament gets super hot, like a tiny sun, and then it glows, making light. The filament is super thin, like a strand of spaghetti. But it's made of a special metal called tungsten. It can handle the heat without melting, which is why it stays glowing for so long. When the electricity stops, the filament cools down and the light goes out. That's why you need to flip the switch again. It's like turning the heat on and off. So in the end, a light bulb is just a tiny heater that glows. It takes electricity, makes heat, and then turns that heat into light. That's how we get to stay lit in the dark. Let's start by looking at the bulb itself. It's more than just glass and a filament. It's a carefully engineered system designed to make light. Inside the bulb, you'll find a thin, glowing wire called a filament. That's the heart of the light bulb. It's made of tungsten because it can withstand extremely high temperatures without melting. The glass enclosure is sealed to keep the filament from coming into contact with air. If it did, the heat would cause it to oxidize and burn out quickly. To make the bulb work, it needs to be connected to an electrical circuit. That's where the base and the socket come in. They complete the circuit and allow the current to flow through the filament. And that's the setup. The stage is ready for electricity to do its magic. Next, we'll see how the flow of electrons actually produces light. Now the electricity flows through the filament, which is super thin and made of tungsten. This filament is heated until it glows white hot, creating light. It's like a tiny, glowing wire in there. But wait, the filament is really hot, so it needs to be protected. That's where the glass bulb comes in. It acts like an insulator, trapping the heat and keeping the filament safe from the outside air. Inside the bulb, there's also a small amount of inert gas, like argon. This gas helps prevent the filament from oxidizing and burning out too quickly. It's like a protective blanket for the wire. The heat from the filament also warms the glass slightly, which is why you might feel the bulb get warm when it's on. But the glass stays solid, because it's designed to handle that heat. Finally, the light that comes out is actually a mix of visible and invisible radiation. The filament emits both light and heat, but we only see the visible part, the glow we love. Now let's take a closer look at the clever twist that happens inside the bulb. As electricity flows through the filament, it starts to glow, like a tiny, fiery thread. But this glow isn't just random, it's carefully controlled to produce the right kind of light. This controlled glow is what makes the light bulb efficient. The filament is made of a special material that can withstand extreme heat without melting. It's like a tiny, resilient rope that can handle the heat of 1,000 suns. But here's the twist. The filament is actually coiled, not straight. This coiling helps it fit inside the bulb and also makes it more efficient. The shape ensures the heat is distributed evenly, preventing hot spots that could cause the bulb to burn out. This coiling is part of the engineering magic. It's not just about fitting the filament in the bulb, it's about maximizing light output while minimizing heat loss. The coil acts like a tiny, efficient heat engine, turning electricity into light with precision. So the clever twist isn't just about shape, it's about how that shape allows the bulb to do what it does best, turn electricity into light without breaking a sweat. It's the final, elegant step in this brilliant little machine. Let's dig a little deeper into the actual science behind how light bulbs work. At the heart of it, we're dealing with electricity, heat, and light, three things that are all connected in a very precise way. When electricity flows through a filament, it meets resistance. That resistance causes the filament to heat up, and when it gets hot enough, it starts to glow. That's how light is produced. But here's the catch. Light bulbs are actually very inefficient. Most of the energy they use is turned into heat, not light. That's why you can feel the bulb getting warm even when it's off. So the science is really about how electricity is converted into heat, which then becomes light. It's a chain of energy transformations that's both simple and surprisingly complex. And that's the actual science humming underneath every light bulb. Quiet, precise, and always at work. Turning power into light in a way that's both elegant and practical. Imagine a light bulb is like a tiny, glowing party balloon that never deflates. When you flip the switch, electricity rushes in like guests arriving, and the bulb lights up like the party starts. The electricity is like the guests, moving through the wires like they're walking down a hallway, and when they reach the bulb, they cause a light show. This analogy is dumb, but it's surprisingly accurate. It captures the idea that electricity, heat, and light are all connected in a simple, elegant way. So next time you flip a switch, think of it as starting a party. The electricity is the guests, the bulb is the host, and the light is the fun. You might have heard that light bulbs are powered by a filament, but that's not the whole story. It's actually a very specific kind of filament, made from a material called tungsten, which is strong and can handle high temperatures without melting. Tungsten isn't just any metal. It's one of the few materials that can stay solid even when heated to over 2,000 degrees Celsius. That's why it's the ideal choice for light bulbs, which need to stay lit for hours without burning out. But here's the real kicker. Even though the filament is super hot, it doesn't actually melt. It's held together by the way the atoms in tungsten vibrate and move, like a really tight, high-energy dance that keeps it stable. This is why light bulbs can last for thousands of hours, because the tungsten filament is engineered to withstand extreme heat without breaking or burning out. It's not magic, it's science. So next time you flip a switch, think about that tiny, glowing filament, made of a material that's strong enough to endure the heat of the sun, and engineered to light up your life. Myth number 1 is that light bulbs are all the same. But the truth is, they are built for different purposes and use different technologies. Incandescent bulbs, for example, use a filament that glows when heated, but they waste a lot of energy as heat. LED, on the other hand, are much more efficient. So when you pick a bulb, you're not just choosing light, you're choosing efficiency, safety, and even ambience. The next time you flip a switch, think about what's inside that bulb, and remember, not all light is created equal. So here's the second myth, that light bulbs are just simple things that turn electricity into light. But that's not quite true. They're actually a clever combination of physics and engineering. The filament inside the bulb is super thin, made of a material that can handle high temperatures without melting. It's like a tiny, glowing wire that's been designed to last for years. When you flip the switch, electricity flows through the filament, heating it up until it glows. This is called incandescence, and it's the same way the sun produces light. But here's the thing, not all light bulbs work the same way. Some use different methods, like LEDs or fluorescent tubes, which are more efficient but still based on the same basic principle of converting electricity to light. So the myth is busted. Light bulbs are not just simple. They're a marvel of physics, with a lot of science and engineering behind every glowing second. Light bulbs are everywhere, in your kitchen, your office, even your car. They're not just for lighting, they're for mood, for focus, and for safety. You probably use more than one bulb every day, in your phone, your computer, even your fridge. They power your world quietly in the background. Even in places you don't think about, like streetlights or traffic signals, bulbs are working hard to keep you safe and informed. From your home to your city, bulbs are the silent heroes of modern life, making the invisible visible, the dark light, and the unknown known. So next time you flip a switch, remember you're not just turning on a light, you're turning on a world. Let me take you to a real-world example that's more complex than it seems. Imagine a modern LED streetlight that's supposed to be efficient and long-lasting. Inside that streetlight, there's a microcontroller, sensors, and a driver circuit that manages the power flow. It's not just a light, it's a smart system. But here's the kicker: the driver circuit has to handle voltage fluctuations, regulate the current, and protect the LEDs from overheating. Even though the streetlight looks simple from the outside, it's a carefully engineered system designed to work under all conditions: rain, snow, or extreme heat. That's the kind of engineering that makes modern lighting feel magical. It's not just about light, it's about control, efficiency, and resilience. Now, let's talk about the extreme end of the light bulb spectrum. Some bulbs are designed not just to light up a room, but to light up entire cities. These bulbs operate under extreme pressure and temperature, using gases like xenon or mercury to generate intense light. Some bulbs even reach temperatures over 10,000 degrees Celsius, harder than the surface of the sun. These are the light bulbs that push the limits of engineering and physics, cranked to 11, as we like to say. Sometimes the filament breaks or the connections fail, and the bulb just stops working. It's like the bulb has had enough and calls it quits. If the wiring inside the bulb is damaged, the electricity can't make its way through, and the bulb goes dark without a hint of a spark. Over time, the filament can weaken and eventually snap, leaving the bulb in a dark and silent state, no longer able to shine. When things go wrong, the bulb doesn't just stop working. It often leaves behind a clue, like a broken wire or a shattered glass, telling a story of what went wrong. These failures are a reminder that even something as simple as a light bulb can have a complex and delicate system, one that can fail in a dramatic way. You might not see it on the box, but light bulbs are actually pretty inefficient. Most of the energy they use turns into heat, not light. That's why your room gets warm when you leave a bulb on all night. Even though they're common, incandescent bulbs waste about 90% of their energy as heat. That means they're not just bad for your wallet, they're bad for the planet too. You might think the bulb is the only thing working, but it's actually the whole circuit that's involved. The filament, the gas inside, and even the metal base all play a role in making that light happen. So next time you flip a switch, remember that light is just a small part of the story. The rest is about energy, physics, and how we've been using light bulbs for over a century. So how did humans even figure out how light bulbs work? It started with a deep curiosity about electricity and its effects on matter. Scientists like Thomas Edison and Joseph Swan spent years experimenting with different materials and designs. They tried many materials for the filament, from carbonized bamboo to platinum, but the key was finding something that could glow without burning out too quickly. This was a big breakthrough in material science. Through trial and error, they refined the design, using vacuum-sealed bulbs to prevent the filament from oxidizing. This made the bulb last much longer and more reliable. Eventually, they also discovered that using a higher voltage and a better conductor like tungsten made the bulb even more efficient. This led to the mass production and widespread use of light bulbs. There's a type of light bulb that doesn't use electricity at all, but it still shines. It's called a gas discharge bulb, and it runs on something called a plasma. Inside the bulb, a mixture of gases is heated until it becomes a hot, ionized gas. A plasma which emits light without needing a filament. It's a weird edge case, because instead of relying on heat to produce light, it uses charged particles and electromagnetic energy to create illumination. It's a reminder that there's more than one way to make light, and sometimes the most unusual methods end up being the most efficient. What if we took this concept and pushed it to the extreme? Imagine if we could control light with the same precision as electricity, turning it into a tool for communication, security, or even art. This is the foundation of optical fiber technology. Instead of sending electricity through wires, we send light through thin glass strands, enabling the internet as we know it. Or what if we used this to create invisible signals, like a hidden message only visible under certain conditions, like a laser or a specific wavelength of light. This is where the line between science and art blurs, using light not just to illuminate, but to communicate, protect, or even inspire. So the next time you flip a light switch, remember, you're not just turning on a bulb. You're engaging with a technology that's shaping the world in ways you might not even realize. Before you go, if you enjoyed this, please give it a like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And tell us in the comments what you'd like us to make next. We read every single one. Thank you so much for watching. Comment this emoji if you made it to the end.